Welcome to Simply Relational, everybody, where we're elevating marriages and equipping parents. We're your hosts, Dr. Shelley Krager, and I'm
Hi.
Darren Krager. Have you ever been so focused on something that you didn't realize you were actually drifting? Um, some years ago, I was salmon fishing with my brother in the Pacific Ocean near shore, and he had a really nice fishing boat. And but the area that we fished, we had to go under a bridge to get to this one area. And my brother had been warning me about the tide coming in and out and how powerful the tide was, and that we needed to be aware and keep eye on the water and see where the current was going backwards or forwards or everything while we were salmon fishing. And anyways, as the day went on, my brother gave me let me have control of the boat because he needed to work on some fishing stuff in the back of the boat and help other people that were fishing with us and stuff. So he gave me the controls, and we were using a trolling motor, a smaller trolling motor, to kind of maneuver around in the water and stuff. And my brother had warned me about a bridge, the bridge that we went under at the beginning, and he had told me stories about people not being aware of the tide coming in or out. And when the tide would go out, it was very powerful because it came through a narrow area. And every year, he said that there would be about a dozen boats that would crash under this bridge because it had concrete sharp pillars, be it the tide going out or the tide going in, and you were focused on the opposite direction. Anyways, back to the stories. He helped. He had me at the controls with the trolling motor, and there's not a lot of power in a trolling motor. We're just uh, cruising along, and I, not being aware,
Which
didn't
is so not
realize.
you.
Yeah, it's not me at all. I did not realize that the tide has shifted
Mhm.
and it was going out. And I just kept focus looking ahead in the boat, not looking behind the boat, because the tide was going the opposite direction of where we were floating, where I was driving the boat. And I thought we were having a good time, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my brother burst into the cabin of the boat, lunged in front of me, and grabbed a hold of the powerful accelerator for the big motors, and just floored it. And and I didn't know what was going on. The front of the boat lifted up, and with a roar, the boat took off. And I was stunned and going, "What in the world?" And he says, "Look behind you." And I looked behind us, and that bridge was only about 15, 20 yards away. We came seconds from colliding into the bridge with one of those sharp pillars because I was so focused ahead and I wasn't aware of the tide going out because, you know, I I wasn't around this environment all the time. I thought I was in control, but I wasn't in control.
Mhm.
Um, the point of the story I just told wasn't that it was scary that we drifted. It was scary that we did not notice we were drifting until my brother jumped in.
That was pretty scary. It was kind of, I remember when you came home and we were talking about that and you were sharing that. And I remember us thinking about, like, even just in Hebrews 2:1, how he's talking about we must pay most careful attention, therefore, to what we've heard so that we don't drift away. Just kind of how that connected with what was
Yeah.
happening there.
Yeah.
Well, that's talking about our faith, which is absolutely important,
Mhm.
that we've got to pay close, careful attention to that because it's so easy for that drift to happen from our faith. That same
Yeah.
thing happens with marriages
Yeah.
as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And we've seen it over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. You get so focused looking ahead and kind of in la la land, you're not realizing there's a drift or, there's a current
Yeah.
going against you.
Actually, I don't think it's so much you get focused looking ahead. I think you get kind of like you were in the boat, you were in the moment. I think you
Oh
get
my
so
goodness.
focused in the moment, when you're in the thick of life and the
Hmm.
thick of it, and You've got day-to-day life happening, you've got kids all around you, you've got jobs, you've got the busyness of everything, and you just become complacent.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where the drift can become
Yeah.
so dangerous. I
Very
don't think
dangerous.
anybody in marriage wakes up one day and says, "Oh, I hope we drift apart someday." Like our goal is to stay together for
Yeah.
closeness to
Yeah.
happen, but
Yeah.
that drift can so quickly come about.
Yeah.
So today we really just want to talk about what are four specific warning signs
Hmm.
that can help you understand before you hit that bridge. What are the
Yes.
warning signs that you're getting close to that bridge, to the
Yeah.
danger
To the danger
zone
zone.
within
Yeah.
a marriage?
Yeah.
So the first sign, let's start with that. It's you stop pursuing each other.
Hmm.
I want you to like think about, so you and I have mentioned in other episodes, like we're not about the date night.
No.
Instead, we were more about the dating
Dating
life.
life.
And
Yes.
that's what this is really thinking about. Because when we were in that dating life, think about that pursuing that happens
Hmm.
when you're dating.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Yeah. The date night thing it's once in a while kind of thing, but the dating life, as we talk about, is a continuous thing. It's day and night.
Yeah.
It could be verbal. It might be just what you do for each other, but it's
Mhm.
always pursuing
Yeah.
each other, and it's living a life of I'm dating you constantly, 24/7.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's not taking for granted the fact that we live together 24/7. It's pursuing the fact that we
Yes.
get to enjoy each other's company, that we get
Mhm.
to spend time together. It's not putting a date on a
Yeah.
calendar of, I can remember one couple that we met with once and I had asked him, like, when was the last time you actually just spent time alone together? And they were
Mhm.
like, well, we tried to schedule that in. I think the last one was about 3.5 months
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Well.
And that is not pursuing
Yeah.
each other. That's a drift. That's a drift that
Yeah.
will quickly take you to a place you didn't realize
Yeah.
that you were even
You
going.
that's when you allow life
Mhm.
distractions to become more important than the important relationships to continue
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And that is a drift. That is a
Yeah.
deadly drift.
Yeah. Pursuing each other is more than spending time on your anniversary
Yeah.
together.
Valentine's
It's,
Day.
yes, birthdays. It's not the holiday calendar.
No.
Pursuing each other is a daily event. I'm
Yeah.
going to talk a little bit more
Yeah.
about ways you can be thinking about how to prevent that drift. But the
Yeah.
warning sign number one is you stopped pursuing each
Yep.
other. You're
Yep.
living a date night, not a dating life.
Yeah.
The second warning sign is you actually stop talking.
Mhm.
And while I know that there might be days that that might sound enticing to you, but you stop talking, you
Yeah.
stop communicating
Absolutely.
with one another.
Yep.
I don't know how many of you have ever seen the movie Date Night.
Date
It's
night.
one of our favorite movies to watch. And I love when they're in the restaurants and we love to do this with each other on what do you think their story is? What's their
Yeah.
story?
Yeah.
But when you go to a restaurant or think about yourself with your spouse in a restaurant and you're sitting across from each other, how many couples do you
Oh,
see that are just sitting there staring at nothing?
yeah.
They're not talking, they're
Yeah.
not communicating, or if they are, or if you are talking with your spouse, it becomes a very surface relationship.
Yeah.
You're talking about the
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
What are the events that are coming up? What
Yeah.
did the kids do that day? But the relationship, none of the conversation is about us.
No, and you allowed something, especially in our day and age, to get between you. And
Yeah.
that's this little thing, this flat screen, or cell phones. I mean, when you go to a restaurant, seriously,
Mhm.
look around the restaurant and count percentage wise how many people are on their cell phones not talking and they're just scrolling,
Yeah.
scrolling, scrolling. And because we become habitual on, looking
Yeah.
instead of talking to
Mhm.
another human being. We're
Yeah.
looking at this screen,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
it's in that conversation where you're having you really should be, think about when you're dating, you're talking about what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What could the future be? What
Hmm.
are the things you love? What are the things that are difficult for you right now? Those are the types of conversations when you're in that pursuing dating
Hmm.
life
Yeah.
that stop happening in
Yeah.
communication. So
Yeah.
stop pursuing each other and you stop talking
Yeah.
with each
Yeah.
other, having real conversation about the two of you.
Yeah.
The third warning sign is you actually stop noticing.
Oh, yes. You stop noticing each other and you start noticing other things. You start focusing on other relationships, with your friends, maybe with your children. And that's a big one is when you're married and you start you'll allow the kids to really get between mom and dad, and the
Yeah.
conversations are with the children, and or when you're having a conversation between each other, it's about the children,
Yeah.
and you forget to stop. You forget to have a conversation about
Yeah, that
yourselves,
was one I remember we had to be really intentional
Yeah.
about. I think one thing that happens in this danger zone right here is familiarity
Hmm.
has a way of making us stop seeing the things we once treasured about each other.
Yeah.
So even just
Yes.
noticing those little things, like, I mean, sometimes that you actually notice, but you're noticing the things that are annoying you, not the
Hmm.
things that drew you to each other. Like one of the things, Darren, that you are so good about is doing little things for
Hmm.
me during the day,
Hmm.
coming home and I'll actually noticing, wow, he put all the dishes from the sink into the dishwasher. That's a big thing for me to notice that. And those are the things that will keep me connected to you and keep drawing me to want to be pursued by you. And so it's noticing what those little things are. There's a verse in the Song of Solomon,
Yeah.
and it says, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. It's kind of a picture of marriage. It's rarely one big event. It's
Mhm.
usually those the little foxes that are running through. Do we catch those? Do we see where those are so that our
Yeah.
vineyard can always be
Yeah.
in bloom?
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier to walk life across a field of pebbles
Hmm.
instead of trying to traverse life with gigantic boulders. And so
Yeah.
there's less boulders, but when you a field of pebbles, there's millions of pebbles, and it's easy to traverse, easy to walk across. And it's easier, I mean, with that analogy, if you have guys, everybody that's listening, I'm an analogy
Yeah,
person.
you are.
And so, what are the boulders in life that you are trying to having to walk around in your marriage or in your relationships? The boulders you're having to uh, climb over, when you can actually have a field of pebbles that you can walk across. But these boulders build because drift.
Mhm.
We start drifting and allow these boulders to cloud and get in the way of our
And I think it's
lives.
important, those boulders, let's go back to that analogy. You actually hit a point you don't even see the boulders anymore. You're
Oh,
just walking around them. You don't
yeah,
realize the big
yeah,
boulders that have come in the middle
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
The last warning sign is actually probably one of the most dangerous
Hmm.
ones. And
Yeah,
this is a hard one. It's not that you can't come back from it, but when you're here, the bridge is right there.
right there.
It's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
This is when you stop repairing. And what we mean by stop repairing is every marriage has conflict. We have
Yes.
conflict. Every relationship has conflict. You can't grow in a
Mhm.
relationship if you don't
Mhm.
have conflict. There's
Yeah.
healthy conflict that happens. But conflict usually involves an apology. They usually involve a forgiveness. They usually involve a circling back. A lot of times you love the circling back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
So they usually involve those things. But when the repair is not happening, we start holding grudges.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
start holding unforgiveness.
Yes.
And we start hitting a point where we begin looking at each other as the enemy. We're,
Yeah.
we're no longer for each other, we're against each other.
Yeah.
And that's a really difficult place for a marriage to be. That drifting can many times lead to an explosion that,
Yes.
that can be hard to come back from. So it's when those little hurts all of a sudden become big distances.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
When all of a sudden your spouse says something to you and you're so hurt and wounded and you're thinking, I don't even remember what they said, but I know I'm mad at them.
Hmm.
Like, if
Hmm.
we ever had those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
So that's a really difficult
Well,
drift.
and that goes along with focusing on what's wrong and just
So
and
true.
you become so tunnel vision of what's wrong with the other person. And if you just uh, let oh, that's the backdoor stuff,
Mhm.
what's wrong. Look at the what's in front of you and start looking at what's focusing on what's right with the other person, so
Yeah, yeah, that's so true.
what's interesting about that day in the boat?
Mhm.
Nothing changed until I became fully aware. And then looked around because I was so focused ahead that
Yeah.
I didn't look around. As we were, as long as we were focused on ourselves, the current just kept carrying us and pulling us, and the current there at that time, the tide, towards danger. And
Hmm.
we didn't know it because it was behind us. We need to stay focused in front of us, beside us, and behind us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So sometimes one of the most healthiest thing to do in your marriage, and I'd encourage everyone right now, one of the most healthiest thing to do is to actually just stop and be able to honestly say, where are we?
yeah.
Like that's what
Yep.
it took you
Yep.
doing.
Yep.
You had to
Yeah.
look up and say,
Yeah.
where are
Yeah.
we?
Yeah. Well, that where are we?
Hmm.
And then it took somebody,
Yeah.
such as my brother, that was fully aware, being a really good boat captain and aware of his surroundings and the dangers and stuff like that. That's what we're trying to do now,
Yeah.
is trying to help people to become aware, because even though you think you're in control,
Mhm.
you're at the helm, and you got the steering
You're
wheel,
coasting along.
and you're
Mhm.
doing right. A lot of times, well, not a lot, but most of the time, we do need outside help
Yeah.
and assistance, need some wisdom from experience to help ourselves out so
Yeah, yeah. So if there's one thing that we hope you remember from this conversation today, it's this. This is our stone for the day. Healthy marriages don't drift apart because love disappears. They drift apart because intentionality does. They
mm.
stopped looking. They stopped looking up to see where they were.
So if we stop being intentional on
Mhm.
growing
Yeah,
our relationship, it's going to drift. And
yeah,
more than likely, that tide pulling you out to the ocean can damage it or even kill it. So
yeah.
if we find ourselves or our marriage drifting,
Mhm.
more than likely, the scary part is we actually started drifting from God first.
Yeah.
And so we need to check ourselves, Shelley. If our marriage is drifting, we need to hold each other accountable
Mhm.
to check ourselves to see how we drifted from God. Are we reading the Bible consistently? Are we praying consistently? And then as a married couple, are we doing it together?
Yeah, back to those priorities.
Priorities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Hmm.
The exciting news is though that if you're in any of those danger zones, if you're in any of those warning areas, it's not too late. When you look up and you recognize that, the first step is the awareness. And that's really what we're trying to draw you to today.
Hmm.
Do an analogy of your marriage today. Stop and look up and say, are we in any of those danger zones?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
any of those danger zones connected to us right now?
Yeah.
Next week, I'm excited because we're going to actually talk about 5 intentional connection rhythms that actually can keep your marriage from drifting. So make sure that you join us next week so that we can talk about those.
Yep.
We'd love to hear from you if these episodes are helping you. Please reach out, connect
Yep.
with us. We'd love to hear insight from you. Um, and continue to just get your feedback. So as we
Yep.
think about future episodes, we know
Yep.
what are some
Absolutely.
topics that matter to you as well.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you.
Have a great day.